Welcome back to the Trademark Sports YouTube channel. As we can see today, we're going to be talking about Buzz Rothefield's top 50 NRL players of 2024. Obviously, as you can see as well, this did come out in September, so a lot of you might have already seen it. But again, we all know these things are behind a paywall. So again, some of you may not have seen it. I personally haven't read this one for 2024. I have seen the players 50 to 47, so I can't say I haven't seen any of it. But let's get into it. Obviously, this is Buzz's opinion. I would give my top 50, but again, I would lose all credibility and people would say I have no ball knowledge because no one ever in the history of the world will ever agree on a top 50 NRL player list. So without further ado, let's crack into it. Started straight away, Cameron Murray at 50. I'm going to say that that's pretty underrated in my opinion. I feel like, yes, the Souths in general weren't fantastic, but Cameron Murray was still brilliant and was trying to put that team on his absolute back. And he's only one player. And in the 4-pack, there's only so much you can really do to influence the game. I think, look, last year it said he was 22. I probably would still just, off the top of my head, would think that I'd put him around that same sort of category. So I'm going to say the Buzz had him underrated there, which 47% of people agree with me. So that's fantastic. 49, Jake Jaboyevich. Now, here's the thing with old Jakey. Love him. Seems like an absolutely fantastic stand-up bloke. However, I feel like the game has kind of changed past him. He's one of those players that 5, 6, 7 years ago was brilliant. And now he's just a little bit sluggish, a little bit slow. And I feel like he's getting a little bit caught out by other teams. So I'm going to say overrated. Probably, in my opinion, not in the top 50 players this season. Now, Tyron Wishart. Absolutely burst onto the scene this year. Obviously, I think he played his 50th NRL game this year, though, so he has been around for a little while, but really took the NRL by storm this year. But yeah, he was great. Coming on, he can play 5'8", his main position, but he can play anywhere. And we've never really seen that versatility from a player anywhere. I think it was 2 weeks in a row he played wing and then he played front row. That is absolutely insane and a great player for the Storm to have. I feel like all these rumours about he's going to go somewhere else to play in a new position, but I feel like Tyron Wishart could get a pretty big bag at the Storm because he can just literally cover 1 to 13. He's the perfect. He epitomises the 14. Potentially could be changing that position forever. I'm going to agree with him there. Jacob Kiraz. Love this. I think he was fantastic this year. Only played a run over 4,000 metres in the regular season. Big, strong, fast and powerful and a future Origin winger. I completely agree with Buzz Rothefield there, which is a statement I never thought I would be saying. I'm probably going to say it's underrated. I feel like he probably should be higher than 47. Then we got Connor Watson at 46. Played Origin this year, obviously. Played lock and hooker. I think he was great for the Roosters. Unfortunately, got injured at some part of the season. But yeah, I agree with that one. Connor Watson was great this year. Okay. Jack Howarth at 45 is interesting. He certainly showed this year why he had so many raps on him as a junior. However, he probably only played half a year of good footy. If I'm going to be super critical, it was great towards the end of the year, but I think he just definitely developed into it. Probably for me, not in my top 50 just yet. Next year and the year after, absolutely. But for now, I'm going to say overrated. That might be controversial, but yeah. Kieran Foran in at 44. Yeah, he was pretty good for the Titans this year. He was certainly stood up when he needed. He just needs a bit more help, I think. Poor old Kieran Foran. I'm going to agree with that ranking there. Cameron McInnes, 43, seems harsh. Buzz says the heart of the Sharks side, 7th consecutive season, making 800 plus tackles. Wow. Was recorded with the New South Wales jersey. Again, this seems harsh, but I suppose there is a lot of good players in the NRL these days, so I'm going to have to agree with him there. Nelson Solomona down from 26. He had 26 last year. Started the year in reserve grade, old Nelson. As Buzz has said, but powered home when the Storm needed him most. Definitely agree. I'm probably going to... Yeah, I'll agree with the rating. I don't know how much I'd like him to be... how much higher I would like him. So I feel like around that 40 mark is a good spot for Nelson. And 41 is Braden Trindle. Produced a near-perfect 10 against the Cowboys in the finals, become Cronulla's dominant playmaker. Okay, mid-season suspension to deliver at the business end of the season. Maybe this is just personal bias, but I feel like there's something missing for Braden Trindle. I guess I'll agree, but yeah, I don't really know where else I'd put him. Yeah, not really much to say on Braden Trindle. Sorry. 40, Valentine Holmes. Overcame mid-season slump to finish the year with a bang. Was the highest point scorer in the game when the Cowboys exited the second week of the finals. Hard one with Val Holmes because he was so up and down this year. Probably a factor due to his age. Hopefully that isn't a factor when he plays for the Dragons. Respectfully. Yes, I'll agree. I feel like he probably could be a bit higher if he didn't have that mid-season slump, but he certainly wasn't his best Val Holmes this year. Blake Brayley, straight away underrated. He was fantastic this year, I thought. Like one of the top competition's best hookers in a year where hookers weren't really putting their names up in lights. Like Harry Grant, obviously is the best hooker in the comp this year, but it wasn't by as big of a margin as it usually is. He's only the best hooker in the comp this year because he's Harry Grant, if that makes sense. Blake Brayley, I think, severely underrated, and there you go. 45% of people said he was overrated, so there you go. Scott Drinkwater had a career season high in about every statistic: runs, run meters, tackle bust, line break assists, try assists, and offloads. Yes, fantastic. However, defensively, very suspect, and I think was the sort of the story of the Cowboys this season. I'll agree with the ranking, but Scott Drinkwater needs to improve if the Cowboys are to improve. He's pretty he's a bit of the barometer for how the Cowboys are going, I think, anyway. 37, Max Platt, love this. Took home 3 awards at the Dolphins presentation night, including Player of the Year, Players Player, and Best Forward. An absolute workhorse. What do I think of Buzz's rating? I honestly nearly think Max Platt could be higher. He will 100% be making his Queensland debut next year. I do agree with that. If not, he could have been higher. Payne Haas at 36, down from 6. Normally a top 10 player in this list, but was limited to 14 appearances in the Broncos forward pack. Had his best Origin series for the Blues. So obviously Buzz is taking the Origin into account with his rankings here. Payne Haas certainly wasn't his best this season. The Broncos weren't their best this season. I'll agree. If anything, I'd probably say it's almost overrated, which 46% of people would agree with. 35, Reece Robson, New South Wales hooker. Outstanding for the Blues and the Cowboys all year. Tough and deceptive, a tackling machine. Not surprisingly, made the preliminary Kangaroo squad. I definitely think that Reece Robson is probably underrated here. Rumours have been going to the Roosters, which is very, very interesting. And would be pretty scary. Obviously on for a bit of rebuild at the moment, but I'm going to say underrated for Reece Robson. Was great this year. 34, Lockie Galvin. Okay. Rookie of the Year, one of the most exciting teenagers we've seen in a decade. To stand out in a wooden spoon team at his age is a phenomenal effort. Yes, in the halves, but also, are we kind of overrating Lockie Galvin because we're excited that Tigers have a good player, if that makes sense? I love Lockie Galvin. I think he's going to be sensational. There are gaps in his game. 34, saying he's the 34th best player in the comp this year when his team, I suppose it's individual, not a team thing, but his team won like 5 games all year. Probably going to say overrated just for now. I do think he was a top 50 player in the comp, don't get me wrong, but probably in the 40s. Mitch Barnett, underrated. Are you kidding? He was one of the best front rows in the comp this year. It has to be higher than 33. Rewarded with Blues and Australian jumper. Mitch Barnett was sensational. And a front row next year of Mitch Barnett and James Fisher-Harris is scary stuff. Reece Walsh at 32. I would probably put him down. Another footballer normally much higher on the list, but struggled to produce his best behind a team that folded. Did have 14 tries in 14 games. I suppose he is a bit of the fall guy for the Broncos because he's a big name, he's got a big following, that sort of thing. But I am still going to say he was overrated this season. Probably would have bumped me down a few spots. Mostly Yoda, down from 12. Okay. This guy only missed 2 games in 2 seasons and continues to dominate. Cleary and Luai don't dominate without his work up front. How does he drop 20 points? 20 places from last year is my biggest thing. I think he's great. I'm going to say underrated because how on earth does Mosley have the year he does and goes down 19 spots? Eli Katoa at 30 seems really harsh. He was great this year. One of the finds of the season on Melbourne's right edge. Has the most run meters of any edge forward of the competition. Scored 12 tries most of his career. Now, I don't want to brag, right? But I did say that I thought Eli Katoa's second year at the Storm was going to be sensational. He had that year come over from the Warriors, big adjustment in system and culture, that sort of thing. And then second year took off. And Stefano will do the same thing, in my opinion. I'm going to agree, if anything, he's probably underrated. Mitch Moses at 29. Only played 8 games this year, but he's rated on his outstanding contribution for the Blues as a chief playmaker in a memorable series victory. This is what I'm kind of struggling here with the ranking system, because I'm like, yes, he was great for the Blues, but he did play 8 games this year. So how is he the 30th best player in the comp? Because it's Nrl players, not top 50 Origin players. Anyway, I'll agree with the rating just because I don't want to get into logistics of it because it will have an absolute nightmare. But Ryan Papenhuyzen at 28 came back from 2 horrific injuries to stand out as one of the competition's most dangerous and electrifying players. A threat whenever he touched the ball. I'm gonna unfortunately for Pappy, I'm gonna say overrated. I do think it's great that he's back. Great that he's back in the NRL. Back playing footy, played a whole year. But I don't think it was his best year. So I'm going to say overrated for Pappy. 15% of people agree. A lot of people disagree. It's just my opinion. Cameron Munster down from 23. Has courageously played, busted all season. Allowed Hughes to dominate the playmaking, but always stepped up to do something when required. That's the thing. Munster didn't have his best year by his lofty standards. I think everyone can agree with that. But again, he's still definitely around that top 25. Like, a 70% Cameron Munster is the 27th best player in the league. That's pretty ridiculous. And we got Brian To'o at 26, which again seems super harsh. The Pocket Battleship has had another great year for the Panthers. An unbelievable 4 straight season of averaging more than 100 meters per game. Underrated. He's got to be top 20 player in the comp, in my opinion. Sam Walker. Season was cruelly cut short by an ACL injury. Before that, he was outstanding and one of the most powerful off-the-cuff attacking halfbacks in the comp. Agreed, and the Roosters finally started to play the Sam Walker way. Bars. This year. So I think Sam Walker's going to come leaps and bounds, especially when he comes back from that injury in the future. Fingers crossed he comes back the player that he was. Zach Lomax at 24. Controversially moved to the wing before he became one of the best in the NRL. Outstanding for the Blues in Origin and for Saints in the comp. Higher. He's got to be higher than that. Just from own personal... Whoopsie, I meant to say underrated. My bad. Don't shoot me. Ruben Cotter. Feel like... Rank change new. How was Ruben Cotter not in your top 50 players last year? Career high average of 37 tackles a game. Worked his backside off. Again, underrated. I feel like obviously, I feel like I'm having 40 players in my top 20 here, but Ruben Cotter's got to be up there. Same with Joseph Tarpanay. He's gone up from 22, but I feel like he's one of those players who's just super underrated because he's in Canberra. Yeah, I'll agree with the rating just because we've got to have 20 players up there somehow. But yeah, Pat Carrigan at 21, down from 13. Broncos may have struggled, but this guy kept turning up and did his best to lift his struggling teammates. Had a career high season in run meters. Yeah, not much argument there for me. Paddy Carrigan does wear his heart on his sleeve and try week in, week out, which you can't say for the whole of the Brisbane Broncos this year. 20, Matty Burton. The most dangerous and powerful general play kicker I've ever seen, even though he doesn't do his Birdo bombs anymore. Improved his running game and was always a threat to the opposition to the Dogs' charge to the finals. Yeah, agreed. Matt Burton was fantastic this year and probably unlucky not to play Origin. 17, Daly Cherry Evans, man of the match in Origin 1, gets better with age, led Manly magnificently. Great 40-20 exponent. Yeah, we know what we're going to get from Daly Cherry Evans, consistently a top 20 player in the comp. Hamoli going up 20 spots, made his Origin debut for the Blues. Right, he is sensational. You watch Hamoli Olakau'atu, he doesn't run onto the ball. I feel like because he just missed the fundamentals of playing rugby league growing up. He doesn't know how to run to the ball properly. Imagine if he did. The kid would be unstoppable. You'd never be able, dead set, could never tackle him. Viliami Kikau, he's made his way back into the top 50 this year, and rightfully so. It was fantastic for the Doggies, and will be so moving forward as well. Adam Fanor-Blake, I was going to say harsh going for him to go down, but he probably wasn't as good this year as in 2023. 2023, he was ridiculous. 2024, still great. 2025 will be great again. For the Sharkies, I think that's a great signing for them. Hamaso at 15, agree, was fantastic for the Dolphins. Liam Martin at 14 seems harsh. Feel like he probably could have been a top 10 player, especially because Buzz is going on about how much he loves his state of origin. He also got a Clive this year. I'd say Liam Martin underrated for me, top 10 player. Right. Okay. Tommy did play 20 games this year, played with a busted shoulder. Yeah, okay. I'll agree. My bias with Tom Trbojevic is saying that because we know how good he can be, and he wasn't that he shouldn't be the 13th best player in the comp, but the best version of Tommy Turbo is the best player in the comp. So, happy with 13th. James Fisher-Harris, underrated, should be top 10. I don't understand. Anyway. Yeah, James Fisher-Harris, top 10 player in the comp for me. Dylan Edwards, right. I understand. He probably wasn't as on this year as he was last year and the year before because he was playing so injured. I get it. Tommy Dearden at 10th. I actually love that. Tommy Dearden is, unfortunately, as a Blues fan, shaping up to be the Queensland like half for the next 6, 7, 8 years. It just, with maturity, just gets better and better. I feel like the Broncos are really going to regret letting him go over the next 3 to 4 years. Angus Crichton, just what an inspiration Angus Crichton has been like coming back this year after what he did. Yeah. Like after like where Angus Crichton was getting shipped off to Union to then being the Brad Fittler and Wally Lewis medal like winner, like just crazy. Well done, Angus Crichton. James Tedesco, okay. He was probably back to his best at club form this year. I will agree with that. Harry Grant, rank up from 32. How was Harry Grant your 32nd best player last season? Buzz, what's doing? I'm gonna say he's overrated. It wasn't his best season for Harry Grant this year, in my opinion. Was still great, still the best hooker in the comp, but not his best. Jerome Luai, agree. He was so good this year without Nathan Cleary, which has been the biggest knock on him so far throughout his career. He essentially carried the Penrith Panthers to the top 4. So Jerome Luai, well done. Stephen Crichton could nearly be higher. He was so good for the Bulldogs this year. Club captain came through and just like you can see the massive impact he had on the Bulldogs. Just his professionalism, his leadership, like the fact that he's gone down from 4 last year, I think is ridiculous because I think we saw a better Stephen Crichton this year, in my opinion. 4th, Isaiah Yeo, up from 24 again. How can Isaiah Yeo be 24th? Anyway, agreed. Isaiah Yeo is a top 5 player in the comp, and I suppose finally he's getting his flowers. Kalen Ponga, overrated. Not the 3rd best player in the comp this year. Certainly the ninth best player, and tried to carry them again. They somehow made the finals again, but yeah, I probably would like to see a little bit more from Kalen Ponga. But then again, I suppose at the same time, when there's not much help around him, what's the bloke meant to do? Nathan Cleary is an interesting one. Only played 12 games this year. And that's why I think he's probably not the 2nd best player in the comp this year. Because you've got a guy like Isaiah Yeo who played better consistently throughout the year. A guy like Stephen Crichton who played consistently throughout the year for longer. I'm probably going to say overrated. Happy for him to be top 5. But 2nd, I'm not so sure. And then Jerome Hughes, number 1, obviously. Was obviously the best player in the comp this year. Cameron Munster out. Pappenhausen missing time. Harry Grant unavailable through Origin. And Jerome Hughes just stood up time and time again throughout that. 100% agree with with Jerome Hughes being number 1. And definitely he was the best player of the comp this year. And I'm so glad that he got his Dally M. So that's it. That's what I think of Buzz Rothefield's top 50 for the 2024 NRL season. Let me know what you guys thought about Buzz's top 50 and anything that I said as well. And who do you reckon is going to pop up that we might not expect for 2025 in that top 50? Let me know in the comments and make sure you like the video. If you did enjoy it, subscribe to the channel for more rugby league content. And always remember to Scotty, drink your water, and Brabham, do your best.